The Columbia Slough is a narrow waterway that runs parallel to the Columbia River. It's about 19 miles long and divided into three parts: the upper, middle, and lower slough. It passes by golf courses, nature parks, homes, and business and commercial development as it flows. The history of the slough predates Lewis and Clark, who came through the area on their journey. The Columbia Slough watershed is home to birds, fish, mammals, and more than 170,000 human residents. The slough has historically been a place of importance to the people around it. The quiet waters of the slough made it easily navigable. Native Americans were the first inhabitants of the slough, dating back long before the European discovery of America. They had a major transportation route where Columbia Boulevard now is, and would hold large seasonal trading parties where the University of Portland now stands. Lewis and Clark came through the area of the slough in 1805.
When they camped at what is now Kelly Point Park, that they complained about the fact that there was so much wildlife that they couldn't sleep at night. It was just noise, noise, noise from all the ducks and geese.
At the end of the 19th century and into the 20th, many immigrants came to Portland as part of a mass migration to the American West. In 1917, farmers in what is now North and Northeast Portland joined together to form the Multnomah Drainage District No. 1 and construct levees to clear the wetlands and make arable farmland. The levees are important because they completely change the hydrology of the slough.
Right next to I-5, next to the Expo Center, there was an instant city with about 900 buildings, apartments, 5 schools, and a movie theater and community centers that was built in about 9 months. And in total, about 100,000 people lived there.
Unfortunately, on May 30th, 1948, nearly 17,000 people were left homeless after a railroad levee burst, flooding Vanport. Before the levees were built, the slough would flood annually up to Columbia Boulevard. Each section of the slough is separated by these levees. There are pipes through the levees so that the drainage district can properly manage the slough and make certain that it will not flood the land around it. The bulk of the water in the Columbia Slough now comes from the headwaters of Fairview Lake. Other sources include groundwater and runoff from roads and farms. Even before the Vanport flood and the construction of the levees, the Columbia Slough faced pollution.
Trains that came to Portland would bring hundreds of thousands of cows and sheep and horses. They would be sold. Many of them were then transported next door to the slaughterhouses that produced meat for Smith and Armour. At the time, the state of the art for getting rid of that waste was to just put it in a pipe and let it dribble out into the slough. And so there are lots of reports about how the slough was red with blood and guts.
As the drainage districts were established, housing developments and many industrial buildings were built under the protection of the levees. Though many of the industries did not harm the slough, some of them were major causes of pollution, but they were not alone in polluting the slough. The communities around the slough were dumping raw sewage in the slough for many years. Years of raw sewage and heavy industrial pollutants had made the Columbia Slough one of the most contaminated waterways in the state of Oregon. However, in 1952, the city of Portland slowed the dumping of sewage into the slough by building its first sewage treatment plant next to the lower slough. In the 90s, in response to pressure from community groups, many efforts were made to clean up the watershed. Probably the biggest of these came in 1991, when Northwest environmental advocates filed suit against the city of Portland to stop the combined sewer overflows. By 2000, 99% of the ESO was eliminated from the slough. Another group that is helping in the ongoing cleanup efforts is the Columbia Slough Watershed Council. The Watershed Council is a non-profit organization made up of members of the community who are committed to preserving the slough, its wildlife, and improving water quality. Since 1996, the Watershed Council and countless volunteers have planted many trees and hundreds of thousands of shrubs and ground cover. 160 industrial landowners have worked with the Watershed Council on native plant restoration. One example of these ongoing cleanup efforts is at Wilkes Creek. The Wilkes Creek Natural Area is a 2-acre woodland located within the Wilkes neighborhood.
The general history of the Wilkes community is a long one. The Wilkes Community Group was originally a Wilkes Community Planning Group in 1975, the first community planning group in Multnomah County. Since then, we have been devoted absolutely to the maintenance of the livability of this area, two pieces of property that we felt were of value, including this park and the recently acquired 20 acres of natural area.
Wilkes Creek flows through the site that was previously dominated by Himalayan blackberry and other plants that are invasive to Oregon. The Watershed Council worked together with Solve and the Wilkes Community Group to have 75,000 pounds of invasive plants and thousands of pounds of trash removed from the location. In addition, thousands of native trees and shrubs have been planted. Along with the plantings and cleanups in the Watershed Council offers many other opportunities to learn about and enjoy the beautiful Columbia Slough. The Watershed Council is working to inform many industries along the slough of the value of their natural surroundings and resources. The Watershed Council feels that it's important for the public to be able to connect with this beautiful waterway in our city. There are bike trails, canoeing, hiking, and other recreational opportunities along the slough, as well as many scenic spots to be enjoyed. The Columbia Slough Watershed Council offers many events to the community, such as
Florando El Columbia Slough. It's our bilingual nature festival, and so everything that we do is offered in both Spanish and in English, which can definitely be a challenge to organize. But we offer canoeing trips, we have a rock climbing wall, we have the education birds from Audubon, we have a number of community organizations who have resources for the Latino community. We have Latino performers, Ballet Folklorico Sol Azteca and Danza Azteca, and some Latino music at this festival. And it's a great afternoon in June, and we usually have around 500 people come out and learn about the slough and learn about the Watershed Council at this event.
Aquifer Adventure is our pirate-themed groundwater treasure hunt, which is really cool. So we have an education program where kids K through 12 will learn about water. So we'll either go into their classroom and give a little chalk talk, show them a bunch of maps, talk about microinvertebrates, or they'll come out to an area and actually have an interaction with their environment, either planting something, looking for water bugs, doing all sorts of cool stuff. And that's one of the main ways that people learn about the watershed, is through their kids. We have regatta, where hundreds of boats come out. People bring their boats and paddle the slough. And the watershed itself extends from Kelly Point Park to Fairview Creek, Alameda Ridge North. So it's a geographically based area. So we go all the way out from the Expo Center to Gresham. So it's a great diversity of people and places.
The Columbia Slough has been making memories for generations. It is necessary to keep this important part of our history alive and healthy. With a little work, it can continue to be an important and beautiful piece of wildlife in our city for generations to come.